Hey everybody, this is Molly Kay. Hope you all are doing well. I have a public service announcement that I'd like to make, and I want to implore you to please consider having water stored in your home. Water shortages and water issues due to contamination, natural disasters, etc., are becoming more frequent. The need for water is becoming ever present, and people are just not prepared. And I'm going to give you a number of stories. I don't know if this was given to me this morning. I've been trying to record this video all day, and every time I do it, it does not have any sound. So I don't know what is going on. I don't know why it's not working. This is like my third time today trying to do this video. So it just seems like anytime I want to tell you something that is like practical, life saving, it's always a challenge to get out. So I know it's just the enemy, but I will not be deterred. So, with that said, I'm going to get into it. But please understand water is life. If you don't have water and food, you can't survive. And I know we're supposed to be trying to endure to the end, but we're really going to have to fight to stay alive here. There are so many things going on, so many moving parts, so many just different scenarios, different crises, different emergencies where water is needed. And we're having a water shortage all over the globe. Some of it is planned and intentional, some of it is natural and weather related. But no matter what the reason, you must be prepared to take care of yourselves. So I'm saying, when you get paid and you have extra money, get you a couple of big cases of water and stack it up in your house. Get water purification tablets, get water sanitizing of, materials to make your water potable. Make sure you have something to carry water in case you have to go someplace to get water and transport it back to your house. If you live outside of the city limits and you're able to get a well, I recommend getting a well dug. And even if it's just one, you got to have a hand pump. Please take into consideration doing something to preserve your own life, because this system is failing, and it's failing really fast, and people are really getting frustrated because they expect the government to come through for them, and the government is not. So I have a couple of stories, quite a few, and this may be a long video. So if you don't like long videos, you may have to check in and out of it or watch it in a couple of phases. But I want you to see how all of these stories are coming out in a very short period of time about water, not having drinking water for different reasons. Some of it is natural disaster related. Some of it is because the city did not maintain the water systems, and the systems have failed or are failing. The water isn't drinkable. Sometimes it's just where, the military uh, contaminated the water table, uh, drought, just a lot of different things. So let's get into it. The first story is about West Virginia, and this is important because this train derailment that happened, I think, on the 3rd of February, is impacting like 3 or 4 states, and I think it can impact probably up to seven. But millions of people that live along the Colorado River and get their water from the Colorado River could be impacted. So this is West Virginia news, and this article came out on the 13th. It says, "It's the Ohio train derailment chemical spill impacting West Virginia's water." Okay, let me go back up. I hate these pop-ups. Okay. Health officials and environmental agencies in West Virginia are monitoring the Ohio River following the East Palestine, Ohio train derailment on February 3rd. West Virginia Governor Jim Justice's office says officials detected low levels of butyl acrylate had reached the Ohio River through its tributary, Little Beaver Creek, along the Ohio, Pennsylvania, West Virginia border. That's 3 states. The North Fork of Little Beaver Creek, has its own tributary, Leslie Run, that flows through East Palestine, Ohio. According to the National Center for Biotechnology Information, butyl acrylate is a clear, colorless liquid and has a characteristic fruity odor. It is used to make paints, coatings, sealants, etc. The National Center for Biotechnology Information's website says the chemical is somewhat less dense than water and can form a surface slick on water. The governor's office says when the West Virginia Department of Health and Human Resources Bureau for Public Health first learned of the chemical spill from the train derailment, they immediately contact 5 water systems along the Ohio River that could be impacted by the spill: Wyerton, Chester, Cleveland, Cliffs, Hooverson Heights, and Wheeling. Officials say the BPH recommended the water system shut down all water intakes from the Ohio River until they could learn more. So I'm going to stop here. But my point is, this happened suddenly. All these people that live in this area are now going to have to figure out how they're going to have water. It means they're going to have to figure out how they're going to have drinking water, how they're going to bathe, whether they're going to stay in their homes, whether they're going to evacuate, etc., etc. So, if they had a well, perhaps they could use that. But because they may not be, people in that area may be relying on the water system, public water system, they don't have water. So if you don't have water to cook with and water to drink, water to brush your teeth with, you're in trouble. You don't have water to flush your toilet, feed your pets, water your garden or whatever. If you're trying to grow some stuff, you got problems. So this is why it's important to have. So I'm going to go to the next. This story came out today. This is from the Chicago Tribune. Column: University Park residents vow to fight until all lead removed from water in homes. As you can see, the brother here is preaching. Nearly 4 years into a crisis in which poisonous lead contaminants, in which poisonous lead contaminates water in South suburban University Park homes, residents are emerging from the pandemic with a renewed commitment to fight for justice. It's a marathon, not a sprint. The Reverend Reginald Williams, pastor of First Baptist Church at University Park, said Wednesday night during a town hall at his church. Many people do not know there is a water crisis in University Park. And this is one of my pet peeves about Black people. We be so checked out of everything that's going on. We don't know half of the stuff that's going on. Like this poisonous water that you're drinking and giving to your children can end up causing all types of long-term health issues. And yet people in the community don't even know. Not only that, the government isn't doing a good job of notifying these people. So if you don't go to church or if you're not plugged into some community organization, like there's no way for you to know. I don't know. They're not sending stuff home to, with the kids from school. Like, I just don't know how people don't know. But, it's just a shame that people are so disconnected from the basic things that they need to survive that, You could just be living in a community for years and not know that you have a water crisis. Williams and others addressed about 20 residents in the community where an estimated 1,500 homes have experienced lead contamination since 2019. That's when Aqua, Illinois, a private utility that serves the village of 7,000, switched its water source to the Kankakee River from wells. Hundreds of residents drive to a facility every week and pick up large, heavy bottles of water to use in their homes. Now, this is a classic example of how city officials or community officials decide they're going to connect people to water sources to make money, and then tell the people, your life will be better if you connect to this water. Get those people to switch over to this water supply. And then it turns out that the water is not any good. So these people are screwed. And out of the 1,500 homes, only 20 residents showed up. That is a disgrace. So, 1,480 households don't come to this meeting and their home is impacted by this lead water. So despite that part of not knowing, which also I'm going to implore you to make sure you are aware of what is going on where you live, you should make sure you have water in your home. You should make sure you have things to decontaminate your water and make it potable and sanitize it. You can order that stuff from online. You can go to Walmart. You can go to a camping supply store, Cabela's, Bass Pro Shop, any sporting goods store, get this stuff wherever they sell camping stuff. Bleach. You need to have things that you can clean your water, and you need to have a lot of it because these people have been going through this stuff for 4 years, while the crisis in Ohio, West Virginia, Pennsylvania just started. It's going to be going on for a long time. And so, millions of people are going to be running out and buying supplies to make it through this period. They're not going to have enough stuff to take care of these people. So if you don't have the stuff in your home now, you're not going to have it when you need it if something should happen. And these days, it's not if, it's when something happens. So you should be planning for the when, not if, and acting like it may never happen. You should just assume it is going to happen. Okay, we already did that story. Okay, so this story, okay, it's not going to let me. Okay, so this is a story out of South Africa, but it's just to show you, just within a really short period of time, water crises are happening all over the world. And if you know about them folks, the powers, they've been talking about us not being able to have access to good, clean water for some time now. They didn't think having water was a right. And so, again, there's a war on us. If you don't think you're at war or you're in a war, you are a fool, a tornado fool. All right. So this article came out on February 13th. It's in the Herald. It's about South Africa's battle for water as well. South Africa's economic hub, Gauteng, is bearing the brunt of water shortages caused by dwindling reservoir levels due to high demand of water. As taps are running dry, Dr. Ferial Adam, Water and Environment Manager for the Community Action Network, WaterCan, believes the cause for the crisis are factors like aging infrastructure and inequality. We cannot deny that there is an additional element that is affecting people's access to water, and that is on a local government level and a municipal level. You have infrastructure deterioration, and that is also leading to people not having sufficient water. There's a constant theme about dated infrastructures and poor water management from governments all over this world. So there's also the element of unequal distribution of water in South Africa. Less than 40% to 45% have taps in their homes, Adam said. So here, you have a development issue where certain people have access to tap water and maybe wells while others do not. So this is a twofold problem, but I want to focus on the infrastructure and the reservoirs drying up and people not able to get water to come out of their taps. So this is to point out that there is a water shortage globally, and people are going to have to figure out how to deal with it. So I want to just put it on your mind so that you can start thinking about it. All right, this article came out yesterday on the 15th, and it's from Fox 2 Detroit. Flint is not fixed. Activists demand change years after water crisis started. Flint, Flint residents demand action, new deadline to replace lead pipes. So after all these years, they still don't have replaced lead pipes. So these people still dealing with toxic water. Activists visited the federal courthouse in Detroit on Wednesday to demand a new deadline to replace lead pipes in Flint and restore the city's bottled water distribution program. So not only did they not replace the pipes, they ended the water distribution program. So the people who did this got off scot-free, gone about their business, out of office, rich, did whatever. The people who live there are left to deal with the consequences of the bad decisions. So those people too poor to leave are stuck and they don't have any help. But it still doesn't, erase the fact that these people need water and they're getting sick because they're having to use the water that's there and they're having to buy water themselves, likely. Today is number 3,218 since our water was switched in Flint by the city and state of Michigan. Since then, the city, state of Michigan, and the federal government have failed us, said Melissa Mays with Flint Rising. Mays said Flint has not followed through on its pipe replacement and restoration agreement from 2017, which was supposed to be finished in 2020. Nearly a decade after the Flint water crisis began, residents still don't feel safe drinking the water. There are people still having rashes, bacterial infections. It has not stopped. The Flint water crisis is not over. Flint is not fixed, she said. While the lead levels in Flint's water, currently around 9 parts per billion, aren't high enough for the government to take action, residents won't be satisfied until that number is 0. We want a right to live. We want a right to drink safe water. We want a right for our children to live, for pregnant mothers to have babies and to not have to abort their babies because of the water, said Bernadette Jefferson with Concerned Pastors for Social Action. So Flint still does not have clean water, and if you can't move, you're stuck. What do you do? So again, here's a situation where your government, you pay taxes, you don't get any justice, you don't get any help, or you get limited short-term help. But now, as you can see, 10 years ago, they could have fixed this problem. Now there are cities all over America who have the same problem or different, scenarios, but lead to the same thing. People need help and people need water, and there are no solutions. So you must be your own solution. You need to be proactive instead of reactive. So you need to be thinking right now today, act like you got a crisis in your town and you don't have anybody helping you. And you need to buy what you need in order to make it for an extended period of time. All right, this next story is from Fox 10 Phoenix. It says Rio Verde Water Crisis. Residents sound optimistic note over AG opinion. And so this is just a video, but it says residents in the Rio Verde area say they hope an opinion by Arizona Attorney General Chris Mays, which states that Maricopa County can provide water to residents in the area, can be a good first step towards people in the area getting the water they need after Scottsdale decision to no longer supply them with water. So here, people are having to deal with all sorts of water issues. All right, so I'm going to stop it there. But anyway, I just wanted you to see here's another area dealing with a water shortage, and these people are having to figure out a way to have water in fighting with the government. And water should be a basic right, but clearly it's not. We already did this story. All right, so this story came out September the 9th, 2022, and it is on ABC News, but it's just a map showing where U.S. cities are running out of clean water. The water crisis in Jackson, Mississippi is one of many in the United States right now. Houston, Texas is not the first city facing issues accessing clean water. Houston has another large Black population like Jackson, like Flint, like Baltimore. Um, so many other cities are having these issues with clean drinking water. And a lot of it is tied to segregation and racism. It's basically environmental terrorism. But also, some of the same issues that I talked about earlier when I first started the video. Climate agenda, it's climate change, it's natural disasters, it is, railroad disasters where the water table is messed up, environmental protection standards are lowered or regulations deregulated, making rules more lax so that corporations can be more flagrant, break more rules. All right. Ongoing crises across the country have highlighted the continued fight for access to clean drinking water. Many of the cities or regions experiencing poor water access or conditions are in predominantly Black or Hispanic communities, according to data from the U.S. Census Bureau. So, again, like I was telling you, for Black people, we gotta really be proactive in making sure we have water for our household. I don't care where you live. Especially if we live in a city, and the majority of Black people in this country live in metropolitan areas, you need to have water in your house stacked to the ceiling for what if, keep it in a nice, cool place. But I mean, there's no sense in sitting around waiting to the last minute for something to happen. We all should just assume our turn is coming and we need to be proactive instead of reactive. Officials are warning more than 2 million people in the Houston area to boil their water before using it to cook, bathe, and drink after a power outage at a water purification plant caused low water pressure. And that's another thing. Now, with all these hacks, and we're headed towards World War III with this fifth generation warfare, we could be hacked, the power grid could go down, or somebody could do something to the water purification plant or water treatment systems, and you don't have any water. So you kind of have to really be thinking about a lot of different things. And I know a lot of people can't think abstract and can't do countermeasures the way that a lot of us do who have this gift. But you really should develop it because you're going to be caught off guard if you don't. On Twitter, Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner said the city believes the water is safe, but a boil order was issued as a precaution because of the drop in the water pressure. And so here it says ongoing water crises in U.S. cities. So they have Benton Harbor, Michigan, Baltimore, Maryland, Jackson, Mississippi, Houston, Texas, Rio Grande Valley, Texas, Honolulu, Hawaii, and Las Vegas, New Mexico. Surprisingly, Flint, Michigan is not on this list. So I'm not going to go through all these because they just give a listing out, and I'll put the links to these stories in the description so that you can read them for yourself. So the next story is from New Republic magazine, and it's called Apocalypse Soon. It's under the section Apocalypse Soon. It says even sports stadiums have to adapt to Southwest's water crisis. This story came out today, February 16th, 2023. And agriculture is the big draw on the Colorado River, but as the crisis deepens, everyone doing what they can. And so basically, this story is about the drought and so on and so forth. But how they spin this story is how the sports stadium is doing its part to conserve water. But really, it's a huge drain because the sports entertainment industry, while it may employ a lot of people and bring more money to the community, it's not a necessity. It's not like agriculture. It's not like, some other industry that is going to preserve the earth instead of take from the earth. And the people that have these stadiums are rich, they're billionaires. So it's just interesting how this particular story tries to put a spin on the stadium's efforts to conserve water when really they are part of the reason that we have climate change issues. So it's like them folks playing both sides is basically what's happening. All right, this next story is from the Charlotte Observer. It came out January 1st, 2023. North Carolina Mountain City apologizes for huge water outage, blames frigid temps for crisis. So here, um, because of cold weather, the water treatment plant had to shut down. Asheville firefighters continue going door to door with supplies of water Saturday after a huge outage that city officials blamed on frigid temperatures that shut down a water treatment plant. About 38,000 South Asheville customers lost water or were advised to boil what came through their taps after the December 24th shutdown, the Associated Press reported. The plant was restarted on Wednesday, but officials said it would take time for the water system to return to normal. Residents flooded the city with complaints. Now, here's my gripe, because people have been looking all over the country and seeing for years now that cities have not been able to help people appropriately when it comes to dealing with this water crisis or these water issues. And yet people will not prepare. You won't put water in your homes. You won't get water tablets to make your water potable. You won't get sanitation stuff. You don't do anything. And you think that the government is going to do something for you when suddenly a crisis arrives. They are not. They really ain't going to do nothing for us since they gave all our money to Ukraine and they're getting ready to go to war. So, again, y'all better be proactive and get your water. Do what you can to maintain your household as best you can in the event of a crisis, because it is not if it's coming, it is when it's coming. Let me read you a couple of these dumb comments. And I call them dumb because in this age, when you know you're living in a failed state, you should not be looking for nobody to do nothing for you. Unacceptable, one resident blasted the city on Twitter. 5 days of no water. Can you imagine? Do you have water in your house to survive 5 years? I'm sorry, 5 days. And do you have a plan on, where you'll get water from if the city isn't giving out water? If you live in paycheck to paycheck or you're on a fixed income, do you have money to put away water? Can you do a little bit at a time? These are things that you need to be thinking about. Horrible communication, and you refuse to get us help from the state. Hey, City of Asheville, tens of thousands of your citizens are entering the new year without water, another resident, Mickey Betts, said on Twitter. It's the seventh day without water, and your updates are adding insult to injury. So these people have not had water for 7 days. You need to have water in your house. And just look at some of these stories and base, your prospective needs on, whatever you feel could happen based on where you live. If you live near train tracks or a river, you might want to prepare for a long period of time for being without water. If you live in a black city, a chocolate city, you likely going to have to deal with lead pipes or some, chicanery, and you may not have water. You may have to deal with lead like the people in Flint and in Chicago. You may not know nothing until the last minute, but are you ready in the event something happens suddenly and a crisis is at your door? Can you say, okay, well, we have a couple of cases of water. We got drinking water. We can brush our teeth. We can figure out a way to get a bath or whatever. Like, you really got to be thinking about how you're going to navigate if something happens. Last story I have here for you is one from the Army. It's from the Yakima Herald Republic. It came out on February 12th, 2023. And it is about where the Army contaminated the water table in, I think this is in Washington. It says Army agencies must join forces in East Selah water crisis. And I think this is in Washington. I think this is in Washington. All right, so the forever chemicals that have fouled at least 62. The forever chemicals that have fouled at least 62 water wells near the Yakima Training Center northeast of Selah could become a forever problem if the U.S. Army and the state and federal regulators aren't careful. The chemicals PFAO and PFOS, which is something that I talked to you about recently in another video that I did, are from firefighting foam the Army used at the center until 2014. Detected about a year and a half ago, in the groundwater of rural East Selah, the chemicals are toxic to humans. They might pose risk via livestock and plants that consumed contaminated water. So here, the military or the Army, which you might as well just scratch out Army and say the federal government, because that's who's going to end up paying the bill, contaminated the water in the area. And now, these people are stuck. They dug wells, so they didn't have to deal with, uh, public water systems. And now they got a whole other issue. This kind of wide-scale environmental problem that can seep deep into the heart of a community, long-term health effects, property devaluations, and years-long lawsuits. So far, the Army's handling of the situation seems well-intentioned. It has supplied the 87 homes affected by the pollution with bottled water and offered to install whole house water filters and drill deeper wells. That's a good start. So you can tell these must be white people, because they never offer to do anything like this for Black people. And the fact that they start talking about devaluation of property values lets you know they're talking about white people. Because again, they already devalued Black people's properties just because they live in their houses. Nothing have to be wrong. But anywho, get off the soapbox. State Department of Ecology officials, meantime, have stepped in, issuing an enforcement order to ensure the Army is following state and federal health and environmental rules. Our top priority is protecting both people and the environment, DOE Director Laura Watson said in a recent news release. This is an emergent issue that requires decisive action. Issuing an enforcement order is necessary to hold the Army/federal government accountable, as well as to ensure public input on future cleanup actions. The Army has been reluctant to honor the order, however, claiming the federal EPA water rules, which for the moment are looser than state standards, should apply. The EPA, though, is in the process of tightening its water contamination restrictions, so the Army's argument might soon be moot. All that aside, this is no time for bureaucratic bickering. The lives and homes of hundreds of people are at stake here, and turf wars and lawsuits won't solve anything for years to come. What's important now is for all the agencies involved to hear out the questions and concerns of East Selah residents and respond to them. The Army has hosted several public Q&A sessions in recent months, and the DOE plan pledges to make sure affected residents are included in the problem solving that lies ahead. So again, the citizens are left to fight the governments. And at the end of the day, You're on your own, whether it's fighting the government or figuring out how you're going to get whatever you need to get done. Fortunately, for this particular story, they've offered a solution to dig deeper wells, to do water filtration systems, and to provide bottled water. So that is good. But what is bad is these people know these chemicals are bad when they use them. And then after years, and then it's found that water tables are messed up because people are getting sick. Then everybody's like, oh, well, we didn't know. We're sorry. La, la, la. But I don't know why in the world people are going to, um, not prepare. You have to prepare for what's coming because nobody is going to save us. Nobody. So I wanted to talk to you about water. Water, again, is life. Without water, we can't live. And we're really going to have to pray and just ask the Most High to guide us through these wicked times. This is some stuff that, I mean, it's right out of the Bible. We talk about prophecy, rivers drying up, and waters, not drinkable. We're here, and it's not just here in America. It's happening all over the world. It's happening in Europe. It's happening in Africa, everywhere. And so just make sure that you are preparing and not just living with your head stuck in the sand and not trying to do something to make your situation better. Nobody's coming to save you. You are on your own. You are all you got. So do a search, not on Google. Do use another search engine, but just type in water crisis and then look for news. Click on news and you'll see all the stories, recent stories all over the country where people are dealing with water crises. And then check your own community. See where you live. If you live in a major city, you should have a plan. You should be buying extra water and water purification tablets, water filters, buckets to keep water in stored. And if you use anything that has a plastic bottle, you really need to start recycling plastic and glass. If you drink wine, when you drink your wine, you need to rinse that bottle out and put some water in it and put it someplace. Stick it in a corner, stick it in a tote. Um, Everything. Like, just recycle because things are going to get bad and we don't know if we're going to have access to money. We don't know if our money is going to work. We don't even know if we're going to have a job. So you need to be preparing for whatever comes. So with that said, please like the video, share it, subscribe to the channel. Please subscribe to my Rumble and Odyssey channels in case I get yeeted from YouTube. Yeah, they're censoring us like crazy. I have some other topics that I want to talk about, but they're going to be heavily coded. So, Black people, y'all will know what time it is. White people, I don't know what you're going to do. You'll have to try to listen to it a couple times and figure it out, but we cannot be direct because we are being censored like crazy. Um, Make sure you pay attention to the things that matter. While they got you looking at balloons, your water is messed up, can kill you. Nobody's talking about it. It's not in the mainstream news. You might get a little story, sensational for 5 minutes, but all these stories in the news, I mean, it's a lot of stories about cities and residents with bad water, especially in Black and Hispanic communities. Black people need to be taking note of what's going on and doing something about it. All right, y'all, I'm out.